just to listen to it. I don't know. I was doing work and it seemed like the right thing to do. All right, guys, I'm gonna get a little lap. Just get the blood flowing. We're gonna rock, all right? Hey, if you didn't turn in your DBQ prep, I got a couple of yours. Sam, put a note on yours. You need to fix that. Then send me a message with it. Okay?
I actually did. I did too, so I did it during math class. It's so weird. Did you cut your hair? No. I thought maybe you took the razor to it. It was supposed to understand. I was literally thinking of doing that last night. My mom, not downstairs, she did almost all of it across the street. So I roll it now, like a full. No question. Okay, I'm literally going to do that. Do you not follow us, fam? What's their, oh wait, yes I do, but I haven't been on it. No. The picture of the pot one. I know, they posted on my story. Because they're more famous than probably. Yeah, they can't really post on that anymore. Can I do that when I go to your house? Do what? Just get a razor. I mean, my mom will cut your hair if you want her to. Maybe not like this moment, but like she's telling just cut my first. Because she's a retired hairstylist. My eyes here. Like I was such a like major like cut. Like it was there and it was just like there. Like yeah, and it's too long. That was such a showy time. I really loved it. Really bad for so long. Still not very good. This is a dream last night. This is the first thing that he watches. Because I had a dream about school and I think I was like failing lab. You were like, it's okay.
No, I'm okay.
I'm not failing lab. In my dream, I did. I'm sorry.
All right, folks. How's everybody doing? Let's see, good. You guys good? We're good. Should we let our peers in? See what they want to do? No, we only got 5 of them. We got a nice class here. We got 5. We got 6. We got 5 plus 6 is 11, and we got 12. Sounds solid to me, right? Cool. All right, folks. Here's what I want to do. I want to have just a little discussion. Griffin kind of got it started already. I was pretty happy about that. I had asked you to do 2 things on Wednesday. One of them was to obviously source the documents. Some of you did, some of you did not. I am getting to the point where I might have to implement the policy that other AP teachers are following. One, I'm very concerned about you next year. If you think you can turn late work in AP classes, you're going to be in for a really rude awakening next year because those teachers are way stricter, okay? So I don't want to have to do that, but I'm getting a little frustrated with asynchronous learning and people not getting stuff done, okay? I understand it's very difficult probably from your room or your kitchen or wherever you're doing these assignments to get them in on time and whatnot and do 6 of them in a day and have 3 days of that this week. That's 18 assignments. I get it. It's a lot, but I do need you to do your part. Like I said, I'm here trying to guide the ship to passing the AP exam without you being completely miserable. Do you understand that? That's why I don't assign full DBQs without already you haven't seen the documents and all that kind of stuff. So keep that in mind. Also, a couple of you that did turn in the DBQ sheet, I was super pumped. I saw people like had contextualization notes. I'm going to throw Liliana under the bus. That was awesome. You had some like, this is what I would do for my thesis, my contextualization. I could tell your wheels were working on the assignment that you turned in. So that makes me really happy to see that you're starting to naturally do that stuff. That's exactly what I would do if I were a student your age, because I never like to have things hanging over my head. I always like to like crank them out. So last night I probably would have tried to have done that also. All right, in this little discussion we're gonna have, those of you on Zoom, I'm just gonna type it in here. One thing that you found interesting slash odd slash scary about minutes, what do we watch, 23 to 59 of the rise of the Third Reich. Okay, make your comments please public so that your peers can see them. And I'm going to just about 90 seconds, 90 seconds here. I'm going to talk to the class a little bit. All right. Griffin, what were you referring to? Good. Anyone else in the room? All right, we're gonna take a look. Those of you who are in the room, we're gonna take a look at our peers here. We've got Germans are forced to choose the Nazi Party or the Communist Party. That doesn't sound like a very. Neither one of those sounds very good, does it? That's a good point, Kaylee. Katya, I thought it was scary how fast people turned against Jewish people and communists. Absolutely. Absolutely. How Hitler lost the election to the president, was still appointed to be chancellor. Exactly. In a true democracy, you know, that the fact that the political party who had the majority got to elect the chancellor. There was a section that a Jewish woman was talking about how she supported Hitler and what he was doing and thought the educated people who were Jewish would be safe. And obviously not. Liliana, I've actually been to this Olympic stadium. Liliana said, I thought it was crazy how during the Olympics, Germany acted like a paradise and then went back to normal, like nothing was happening. So I've been to that stadium in Germany, Berlin Hertha. The team still plays there. And when they hosted the World Cup, that's where they played the final. This would have been like 2008, I believe, when they hosted the World Cup. And it was 2008 or 10, 6, maybe 6, I don't remember. But yeah, it's really odd. Some of the stuff's still there. Hitler youth groups. That he blamed the fire on the communists took power. Forced to support the Nazi Party. Hitler's first attempt to gain power was a failure, of course. Did you guys get to the German motherhood part? Can't remember if it was at that part or not. Did you guys get to that part in the film, Lucy Griffin? Okay, that's even more interesting coming up here. So, here's what we're going to do. I wanted to watch, like I said, the last 20 or so minutes together. And then I was going to have you upload your video guides. So you probably want to get those out on your computer and have them ready to go. All right. And we're going to answer the last few questions. And then I've got a few slides for you. We'll go over the DBQ for the weekend, and that'll be class. It'll go by pretty quick. All right. All right. So, all right. Here's what we are going to do then. I'm going to switch the screen share over here. So I told you we'd watch the last 20 minutes or so and then have a quick discussion. I need to change the speakers, I believe, to Epson. Yep. All right, speaking of the Olympics, this is kind of where we're at right now. We're about to see one of the most famous and successful athletes of all time, a man by the name of Jesse Owens, and him set the record for the 100 and 200 meter dash in front of Hitler, a black man running in front of Hitler, which he was not too happy about. Yes?
What question did we get to?
What are we at, 30? Oh, you mean last night? Yeah. So those of you on the Zoom, we are starting right around question 30, 31. I need to pull up those questions. I'm gonna get this started first. This is primary footage of the Olympics in 1936. You know what? I'm cool with you taking down all four, to be honest. You guys can stay awake. You all good?
Foreigners.
You can't see Lucy or Grace. You can shift to another desk up here, okay? Or anyone. Victoria?
It is that this is a nation happy and prosperous beyond belief. That Hitler is one of the greatest, if not the greatest, political leaders of the world today. and that Germans are a peaceful people who deserve the best the world can give them.
So U.S. got their butt kicked.
When the games ended, the tourists went home. Berlin returned to normal. And Lotte and Kurt Hartmann returned to Brunswick, where they screened their Olympic home movies for sons Ulrich and Peter. Peter Hartmann was proud to be a German boy. And so he joined the Hitler Youth. In 1936, all children over 10 were required to join, whether they were willing or not. Many thousands of new members were to be presented to Hitler as a gift for his 48th birthday. If you were a 10-year-old boy in Germany, you too might have wanted to join after watching films like this.
Wir haben abgebracht, gesprochen, geschwommen und gesungen, ein Lied gesungen als wir. Und du singst es noch, soll ich vergessen? Und jetzt habe ich unsere Fahne, Kasse doch voran.
For our field exercises, our squad has to find the other squad through military reconnaissance. Once the enemy squad is found, there are fistfights.
Jeez.
This exercise is supposed to teach us that comradeship, as they call it, is formed in battle.
Like 7-year-olds like punch each other, you know?
We are dreadfully worried. The boys won't listen to us anymore. When my wife insisted that our oldest obey, he drew his dagger and assaulted her. He shouted, "I belong to the Fuhrer first. The family comes second." Within 2 years, nearly 8 million children had taken the Hitler Youth over the legions. I swear to devote myself to Adolf Hitler.
I am willing and ready to give up my life. So help me God.
Creepy. What's he not?
In
They're
the
not
end,
pledging to Germany, are
none
they?
of them would.
They're pledging to Hitler.
You're watching Third Reich, The Rise. For more on World War II, go to history.com.
Next part gets a little graphic, folks, for your age, but it helps you to understand how Holocaust and these different things happen.
It was 1937. An amateur filmmaker, Walter Knight, celebrated his wedding by making this short film. Langer and his bride were exactly the kind of Germans Hitler wanted more of. Industrious, politically enthusiastic, and most importantly, Aryan. Women like Mrs. Langer were encouraged by the Reich to have as many children as possible. Because if the Third Reich was going to achieve its goals, it didn't just need better Germans, it needed more of them.
In the eyes of our beloved leader, the mother is the most important person in the nation. We are Germany's hope in the future. And it is our duty to breed and rear the new generation of sons and daughters.
This female division of the Hitler Youth was filmed hiking outside Munich in 1937. Participation was mandatory for these girls, who were required to document that they were Aryan and free of hereditary disease.
Mandatory.
Dear Mother and Father, in our camp there are 48 girls. Near us is a boys' camp. We see the boys very often and mend their clothing as we spend the evenings with them. A funny thing, of these 48 girls, 35 are pregnant. And still funnier, I'm one of the 35.
Upon learning of her daughter's pregnancy, one girl's horrified mother rushed to the camp to investigate and discipline her daughter. The 16-year-old replied hotly that if her mother did not go home and leave her alone, she would report her to the camp leader, who would in turn report the mother to the Gestapo, who would then take action against her for sabotaging German motherhood.
I know you guys don't have kids yet, most of you. That's terrifying. Not a happy camper. What are all these little boys in the Hitler Youth, these kids going to become? What do you say, Vincent? Soldiers, exactly.
Here's a message from Vienna. Jack Slade returned Austria the latest and greatest addition to the German Reich. cheers today in Vienna. The crowd was described as one of the greatest gatherings ever assembled in the Austrian capital. Meanwhile, an unidentified man fired at Nazi stormtroopers from a window and then shot him downstairs. Later, at a downtown cafe, a man got up from the table, shouted Heil Hitler, and then stabbed himself.
So, this is one of the imperialist actions that Hitler did and was against the Treaty of Versailles.
It was the 12th of March, and Hitler was taking Austria. The treaty that had ended World War I forbade the union of Germany and Austria. But the majority of Austrians wanted it. As one foreign newspaper observed, if Hitler was raping Austria,
This is aggressive, sorry.
then the Austrians liked getting raped.
It's gross, but they surrendered. They just gave up. Let them take it.
Overnight, the German Empire had grown by 5 million citizens. Within days, 70,000 Austrians would be sent to concentration camps.
Nazi songs and Nazi salutes everywhere. The city is a sea of swastika flags. When did they manage to sew all these huge swastika flags? When did all our nice neighbors obtain their swastika insignia? What happened?
As I write, an immense flight of bombers is droning past overhead, as though these planes were flying against a world power. You, up there, I hate you.
Remember, he wasn't allowed to have an Air
I
Force?
do not know if I will survive.
According to
your
the Treaty of
downfall,
Versailles? Look at this.
But this I do know. This is a caricature of Germany. Smeared by a malignant ape escaped from a leash.
You're watching Third Reich, The Rise. For more on World War II, go to history.com.
It was the summer of 1938. And celebration was in the air. Here in Munich, the Third Reich was preparing to celebrate the Nazification of German culture. 200 miles north, in Leipzig, Walter Langer and his wife were celebrating their birthdays. He turned 40, and she 30. the nation's capital of Berlin. Jewish journalist Bella Froman was also celebrating.
When I found myself outside the American consulate, the American visa in my hand, I had to sit down on the stone steps and cry in my grateful happiness. I'm going as soon as I can. I must manage to get out of Germany before it is too late.
Got like 5 minutes left, right?
It was the 9th of July, 1938. By special will of the Führer, the city of Munich was hosting a 72-hour festival
This is one of the few
dedicated to
very few
German art.
buildings that still exist. I've been in here and seen this art. My wife would go with this over myself.
If you
Really weird.
were one of the many thousands of visitors, you would have seen the ideal Germany
Exact art museum. Sam.
rendered in paintings, sculptures, and etchings, all hand-selected by Hitler himself.
What
I
does this
was
art remind you of?
conducted through the House of German Art.
Like Greek art a
I
little
could
bit?
hardly believe my eyes.
Neoclassical style? That's the style of Nazi beauty.
The trend is eroticism. To give German men the incentive to have many German children. And the glory of the German farmer who feeds the nation's warriors. And, of course, heroism in battle. Concluding the 3-day art orgy is a 6-mile-long procession celebrating 2,000 years of German culture, with floats drawn by army horses and thousands of men and women in costume. It goes on for 3 solid hours. At the end, the symbol of the Third Reich, the sovereign German eagle. But the climax, which brings the German spectators to their feet,
Look at this. Makes you want vomit.
is the goose-stepping soldiers. It is an admission of the Führer's restless plans
Gustav was what the Prussians originally did. Dates
for
back to
world conquest.
free Germany as a country. They keep showing that Glockenspiel to show
In
you
less
that
than 12
people thought it was
weeks,
fun. It wasn't.
Hitler
They're all
will
gonna die.
leave to invade neighboring Czechoslovakia.
We got here.
Germany is one of the most popular tourist countries in the world. New national travel offices relieve the tourists of the usual travel worries.
But if you were a German Jew like Bella Froman, moving around Germany was difficult. And getting out usually meant giving up everything you had.
I did not spare money on my travel because I have to leave it in Germany anyway. To get out, I had to pay next year's taxes in advance, even though I will not be in Germany at all. But no price is too much. This is a country to get out of, even if you have to do it naked.
Obfuscate Jewish money. That's October.
It was the 26th of September, and the annual Oktoberfest in Munich was in full swing. But in a few minutes, Hitler himself would put an end to the festivities.
Suddenly, the roller coasters stopped. On the loudspeakers, the Führer is raging against Czechoslovakia. Never have I seen such a large crowd change from elation to gloom so instantaneously.
Hitler had demanded that Czechoslovakia cede a large portion of its German-speaking territory to the Third Reich. If Czechoslovakia refused, Germany vowed to invade. "24 hours later, the evening of September 27th, here in Berlin, German soldiers prepared for an invasion. In only a few hours, they would roll to the Czechoslovakian border.
Have the people any idea what they are being forced into?
Thinking that this is, you know, again, fun.
No, I don't want any part of it. We want peace. And tomorrow there will be war.
I'm gonna go ahead and stop here, just so we can make sure we get done what I want to. Let's go ahead and just have a quick discussion here. Vincent, could you turn on 1 and 2, please? Thanks. Or actually, my bad. I meant 3 and 4. There you go. All right. What did you guys find surprising about that segment there? Anything interesting? Anything you didn't know about already? Jill?
That huge parade, that 6-mile-long parade.
Yeah, that I guess I've been to that art museum and I've been to those parade grounds. So bone chilling, honestly, still to this day. Vincent, what were you gonna say? They did. So Czechoslovakia would give Hitler that land, and they did not go to war with Czechoslovakia. I'm gonna have to explain that in a second. Yeah, so they didn't end up going to war with Czechoslovakia. I know we cut that off a little early. Good point, though. Yes. No. So Lucy said, is she surprised that there's still footage of this and that's out there? You know, there are people that deny it happened, right? There are people that say the Holocaust never happened, that the government made it up to make Israel a country and get the Jews a homeland, and it never even happened. There are people in the world that say that, okay? Like, I will show you undisputable evidence on the contrary. I mean, I don't know. I've been privileged in my lifetime to even been in German homes where their parents died in the war and whatnot, and they had to talk about it. It was chilling. Kate Genrich said 30% of the German army was funded by stolen Jewish money. I mean, that's some people will say even more than that, upwards of 50. Because the Jews had notoriously, from the Middle Ages on, been bankers and educated people in Germany, and the lawyers and professors, and so they had money. Grace.
Like, I was under the impression that there was real female service at all, or like aside from photographs, which is like really surprising to me. Like, I don't know why we would never like show anything like that.
Yes, you bring up a good point. Also, I don't know if I would want I'm not sure at 14 or 15 I want my kids watching this. There are some strong themes. I told you that. I said that before. And I respect the fact that but I also don't want you walking around again with the like boy in the striped pajamas attitude. Like it's a Hollywood movie. It wasn't a Hollywood movie. Like the common people, if you continue watching this video, they all die. Like all these kids, these little kids are abandoned because their fathers, there's so many civilians that die as well in the Allied retribution of the bombing of Germany. When the Soviets come back, they're worse. Lucy, one more. Go ahead. Yeah. Yeah, someone. So Zoomers, we had Lucy McJunkin say just how the women were brainwashed, and someone said that on here as well. It was Hannah Hiddle or it was Liliana. Just the brainwashing was, that's propaganda. But to the point where no one said this to start class off with, and I thought it was a little interesting. If you watched minutes 23:59 like I had asked, you would have seen that they pledged their loyalty to Hitler. They were no longer pledging their loyalty to Germany. Did you see that change? It was subtle. And that's why I have people watch this usually, is you see the subtle change. It's no longer about the fatherland. Germany. It's about using will use Germany as a guise or a disguise to make himself the automatic leader. All right, go ahead, Joe.
Can I add on to what Liliana said?
Yeah.
She said how like he didn't see women as humans. He didn't view any people as humans.
Yeah.
He just saw everyone as like numbers and not actual people with families and lives.
Jill Whitmore said, just those on Zoom, that Hitler just saw people as a number or a figure or as a soldier or as a breeder, but didn't see people as an emotional human being, and yeah. Okay. I know I definitely, it was one of my obviously things I enjoyed talking about quite a bit, but we got to move on here. So I just have a few things. I'm not going to go real in depth on this because I want to explain the document-based question or the DBQ. But I want to go ahead and I'm going to share the screen here. I do want to go over just a few things that we just watched and maybe add just a little bit so we're ready to start World War II, and you'll be ready. You'll kind of, this is your intro to your notes on 31 anyways. So what you'll be reading about over the next couple of days. All right. And when we actually take notes next Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, I will have a fill-in notes for you guys to just fill in. So you won't need to be worried about writing a ton of stuff down. It'll be pretty easy. I mean, a lot of this is visual, honestly. So if we take a look at Europe prior to World War II, remember this. This is Europe in 1939. What do you see between the USSR and Germany? You see all these other countries, right? Remember that those were new countries created at the Treaty of Versailles, right? And given they were allowed to choose what government they wanted and all this, but they had little to no experience governing, nor did they have the resources to really make a stable government and a military. So who paid for their stability? Remember? Who paid for these new countries' stability? Not Germany. Close. It usually it's an acronym with two letters. Austria-Hungary is a guess, but they're not even on the map. They disappeared. What do you say? The U.S., correct. Remember that slide I showed you. It was the United States that propped these countries up. Now, with the United States in a Great Depression, and with the United States in what we call economic nationalism, Hannah, thank you. What you end up with is, who's there to save them? Nobody. Since the United States didn't join the League of Nations, who's there to say no, stop? Nobody, because nobody really has extra money laying around to do it. So that's I'm hoping you see these ties here. Now I want you to see this slide. Okay, this is Germany prior to World War II, and then this is Europe today. Let's go back real quick. Is it? Oh wow! Look at Europe in 1939. So Austria had already disappeared, and I'll tell you that in a second. Remember, Germany was split up into two. No Ukraine, you see that? No Belarus. So those were taken from Russia. You have all these, you look at the Yugoslavia is broken up, in, which would be to the right of Italy. Other than that, not a ton of changes. So notice Russia is Russia today and not what? Not the USSR. Yeah. Also, other thing I wanted to mention was if you look on this is on your Canvas page. I put it on there for you in case you want to download this. You can. If you're at home and you're like, I don't want to look at this dude's little screen, let me just show that. So you can. All right. So briefly, we're going to look at the Spanish Civil War. Okay. For those of you who studied Francisco Franco, you understand what I'm talking about. Francisco Franco called himself a Republican, but he was far right. So if you're taking notes and you're writing things down like you would be in a normal year where students actually wrote things down and remembered them, Francisco Franco was far right. The nationalists were far left. Who did the U.S. support? Neither one. But who did the U.S. really support? the nationalists. Ironically enough, so did the Soviet Union. So did Great Britain. So did France. Only Soviet Union actually gave money to the left to fight, known as the nationalists. That was like the government that had been there before. But the military coup by Franco was supported by Hitler and Mussolini. They were the Republicans. And they were far right. National Socialism and fascism is far right. The U.S. is a little more center right. Obviously, the Soviet Union is way left. Communist, like faux communist socialist, okay? So keep that in mind. A lot of times this is called the dress rehearsal for World War II. All right. And the reason why they call it the dress rehearsal, and I saw a lot of great primary sources from those of you who did choose Spain, is it's called that because of the fact that Hitler and more in particular Mussolini let them use their new technology that was developed in the 1930s to bomb nationalist targets and nationalist cities in Spain. And one of the most famous pictures of that bombing is Guernica by Pablo Picasso. And Picasso painted this painting after his hometown had been bombed by modern technology and new planes that had been created since World War I. And this was the carnage that he witnessed. All right, that's just. Have any of you watched this, looked at this in Spanish class before? Some Spanish teachers or art teachers used to show it. Yeah, this is in I believe it's in the Reina Sofia, the museum, which is a very, very famous 20th century art museum in Madrid today. If you ever get there, it's huge, about the size of this whole wall. But you can just see body parts everywhere, just human, like animal body parts. Again, I want to say in like a 3-day bombing raid, 30,000 people were killed from just bombs being dropped by airplanes. Yeah, it's disgusting. Now, not to get ahead of myself, Americans and people in Western Europe are always very jingoistic in their war approach, saying, well, war started when Pearl Harbor was attacked, or war started when Germany invaded Poland. No, not true. World War II started earlier than that. And if you want to be real technical about it, World War II started when the Japanese invaded China in the coastal towns of China in 1937. All right. Now, you're going to see some disturbing images on the screen. I can't sugarcoat it because they're real. What do you see on the far left? You see soldiers bayoneting Chinese soldiers. Japanese soldiers bayoneting Chinese soldiers. Bottom right, you see skull pyramids. Heads. And in the top right, you see babies, infants that were just collected and thrown into piles. Okay, these are depictions of what's called the rape of Nanking. And if you're taking good notes and you are an educated student, you want to jot this down or make sure you remember it, because I already made all the quizzes and tests for this unit. I know what's on there. So the rape of Nanking, very famously depicted in different newspapers. 2 Japanese generals actually had a contest of how many people they could chop the heads off with their samurai swords every day. And so the newspaper kept a running tally of how many heads they chopped off each day in the invasion of Nanking, which was the capital of the Kuomintang, the Nationalist Party of China. Remember them? Yeah. It was very disturbing. Again, the Chinese to this day still ask the Japanese to apologize for it. I could talk more about it, but I wanted to get to this and be done, I guess. All right, last but not least, this is what you saw on the screen. This bottom right, part of Germany, this is Austria. And what we watched in the film was called the Anschluss. You want to write that down. That means an agreement, but it wasn't really an agreement. The German word for Anschluss is agreement. But basically, Austria just said, you know what? We don't want to fight you, Hitler. Can we just be a part of you? And this is an imperialistic action by Hitler, which moves us much closer to war. All right. Unfortunately, I got to stop there. I'd love to keep going. We could probably do this for another 4 hours. We got people sleeping though. You all right? You want to stand up? You sure? Okay. And so what I'm going to do here, I'll explain more of this on Wednesday of next week, but I want to make sure that I get a chance to just explain this document-based question just briefly. Okay, so I'm going to drag this over here. Going to switch to share real quick. And if you go to modules, remember you have the first half of reading for chapter 31 due. It'll be a nice read. It's one of the better reads you're gonna have. It's about World War II. Okay, a lot of you have like Grace Lane. Lane, is it Grace? What's your first name? Grace. What was your sister? Sometimes I get you confused with your sister. Sorry. Grace Lane pointed out you already have context for this. So it says President's Day weekend and break, DVQ, right? Just going to look at the instructions real quick with you, if my computer will work. And so it says you've already seen the documents and had time to analyze them and source them. Now you need to write the DVQ. For purposes of being of productive practice, not unproductive practice or unrealistic practice, set a timer for 1 hour and type the DVQ. Obviously, you can reference old notes and rubrics we have already used. Also, you can use the sourcing you already did Thursday. This needs to be uploaded no later than 10 a.m. on Wednesday, February 17th. Do not worry about color coding or editing your attempt, as we will do this together. Good luck. Okay? And it's about propaganda and totalitarianism. I think it's something that you should have a nice base on. Okay? I've given you plenty of extra evidence to use, right? You have these film guides. The last thing I'm going to ask you to do before you leave, this is the last. Oh, yes. I thought we got at 39. We got at 43. My brain is mushy still. Upload your video guides for some easy participation points, okay? Do that right now, please. So everybody on Zoom, upload your video guide, read the first half of chapter 31, and then time yourself on a DVQ this weekend, okay? You got 5-6 nights to do it. Do that, and then you can leave when you're done, all right? Have a great President's Day weekend. Enjoy a break. Get off your screens a little bit and do something. Stay warm. It's going to be freezing, okay? Yeah. Does anybody here, can all of you upload the video guide, please? Do that now so I don't have to worry about missing assignments or any noise like that. All right. Anybody have any questions for me? There's more students in here than usual, so I'm going to have to come by and get the desk swiped off. I got a Zoom question. All right. Bye, everybody. Great weekend.